Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
Well, one of my favorite places to get a breakfast sandwich, but not today, but our coffee and everything, is in Grano over here on Harry Truman Parkway. And today we're sitting here with Beth Rosenberger from Halsen Solutions. And you are a local recruiting placement employment agency / consultant. Do I have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So Halsen Solutions, we've been around for almost 10 years, but basically recruiting, we focus on direct placement, which I can answer questions about that because it's kind of lingo. But we do a lot in manufacturing, construction, industrial stuff. So basically helping companies find talent, hopefully for the long term, to be able to fill vacant positions that they need help with or they can't find on their own for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you seem to be bi-directional here and working with, from what I gather, you work with companies looking for talent and you work with talent looking for companies.
Yeah. So by the nature of the business, we do work on both sides of the house. We help candidates, but the people who are sort of like driving our business are the companies that are looking. But because we just end up talking to so many candidates all the time and job seekers, we're sort of advising them, we're helping them. If we are aware of other companies that are hiring, we're sort of pointing people in the right direction and just generally trying to help job seekers as much as we can. But we are hired by the companies to find the talent. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, I've heard people say, oh my gosh, why would I hire a recruiter?
Yeah.
And I've always been a big believer in recruiters, and I'm saying there saying, well, hey, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I said, hiring people is expensive.
Yeah.
If you want to know expensive, hire a bad person.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
To be able to figure out, a bad hire is a big mistake. And obviously a lot of companies invest an awful lot in their employees. And it doesn't matter whether you're dispensing Slurpees at 7-Eleven or the CEO of Microsoft.
Yeah.
A bad hire is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
But, and I get the question all the time. It's like, hey, what places are hiring? So I'm sure you get those phone calls too.
Oh, yeah.
As well. But what industries do you really sort of focus yourself on, or are you sort of a generalist, Beth?
We industry-wise, we kind of niche down on manufacturing or industrial commercial jobs, things that tend to be more technical. So, for example, we hire field service technicians for a company that does they build plastic injection molding machinery. So it's like a very skilled trade. But a lot of times what happens is we fill a couple of positions for a company. We sort of buddy up with HR or owners or whatever. And then they see that we can fill other positions for them too. So we're pretty relationship based. So a lot of times we'll work with companies, we'll fill, like I said, like 1 or 2 positions. And then they'll say, oh, hey, can you help us with our accountant? Can you help us with our, we've placed COOs with companies, so industry wise, those are some of the industries that we play in, but we end up tending to hire other positions within those two.
It's funny you said it turns into a relationship type of a thing. And I totally can see that because again, a good employee is a valuable employee, both to the employee as well as the employer. So when you place somebody great with me, there's a good chance that I'm going to go back and say, hey, yo, Beth, I need a whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah.
To figure out. And that may not be your forte, but it may become your forte.
Right.
And, or I imagine that you probably have a vast network of other people just like you that have that big, you have the wealth of candidates that may be in the manufacturing and construction area, and somebody else may have the vast wealth of candidates in the, economic analysis.
Right. Yeah. There's plenty of things that we don't do. And, I think it's good to know your limits and what you're able to help a company with and really be able to help them find the right talent. But, I'm very easy to say like, hey, this isn't my field. Like I don't do any type of medical recruiting or things like that. Those are really specialized areas. I have a friend who recruits exclusively for insurance industry, which is like something I know nothing about. So, I would refer, like you said, I have a network of other people that if I can't help them, I want to be able to give somebody else that can help them.
Well, that's the old, I know a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a guy for you, to be able to take care of that there.
Exactly.
I mean, do you work in any specific geographic areas? I mean, I know now anymore we are a global economy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure that you can place somebody in Shanghai just as easily as you can in Glen Burnie.
Yeah. We actually do work nationally because a lot of companies that we work with, we might find them locally. We have a lot of clients that are in the Mid-Atlantic region, but they might have a facility that is in Indiana or Southern California or Utah. And so we'll place candidates nationally. So I would say, but more specifically, probably like the eastern half of the United States. That's probably where we do the bulk of what we do. But again, like if somebody's got a facility somewhere else, if we know the culture in the company, we can still help them nationally.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Now, how does the process work? I mean, I know, in my life, I've looked for jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have never gone into the yellow pages. And for those that are younger and listening, that's a big book they used to send out to everybody's house every year, which has every business.
Possible booster seat for children in the 80s.
But, I never went to the yellow pages and looked for like, okay, give me a job recruiter.
Yeah.
I've been connected with them on LinkedIn, random phone calls. Oddly enough, I've been getting crazy, just off the wall texts. Lately for stuff. But I mean, how does the process work? I mean, does a potential employee a candidate coming to you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you outsourcing, looking out and digging into them through LinkedIn and other databases?
Yeah.
How does that?
Yeah. Great question. So I would say in general, if you're a job seeker, or even if you're not a job seeker, it's probably good to have a relationship with a recruiter, any recruiter that's in your industry, just to have connections, because, it's unfortunately the market is a little weird right now. So having those relationships and having somebody to look out for you or think of you is really helpful to have. But how do you find those people? I mean, for me, the way that our process works is we actually, like, when we're given a job by a client and they say, hey, we really need a FP&A director for our manufacturing facility. Can you help us find this person? We're going out. We're using, like you said, those databases. So recruiters often pay for things like LinkedIn Recruiter, which is like the back end.
Sure.
And then Indeed has a database as well. So for job seekers in our virtual world, it's just really easy to keep a positive LinkedIn profile. Recruiters will probably end up reaching out to you no matter what. Same thing with Indeed. If you keep your resume on Indeed, just like anything, the more you're sort of out there and have visibility on your profile in the virtual world, the better odds that you have of getting tapped on the shoulder for something. And I would encourage people just in general, like, to take phone calls from recruiters. We're sometimes hated, like, because there's a lot of maybe not great ones out there. Like you said, you get some weird messages.
But I can confirm here in Ingrano that you're not this big old boogie monster. You're a great person to talk to, very friendly and everything else. So, but reaching out to people is...
Yeah, that's how that is how we find talent for our clients, is, finding candidate profiles that we feel are potentially a good fit on paper, and then just sort of cold calling those people and hoping they take our phone call. And I think that's probably like one of the biggest issues with recruiters that aren't doing a great job, is that you get, sometimes people will complain to me when they work with me and they'll say, oh, like, I get phone calls all the time for jobs that are totally irrelevant. I like to think that, like, not trying to toot our own horn here, but like, I think that we try and do a good job of reaching out to people that we feel like are an actual fit, or that, we're focusing a little bit more on quality and not just blasting out to 500 people a job.
Well, that's gotta be, I mean, it's a waste of the candidate's time to talk to you if it's not relevant. But more importantly, it's a waste of your time to talk to a candidate that has no relevancy to your client and the job. I mean, you might as well go talk to that guy sitting across.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, you want a job?
Yeah. I mean, I always joke that, like, good recruiting is like a good realtor or something like that. Like, I would never go up to somebody if I was a realtor and say, hey, John, I have a house in Arizona. It's a 1-story Mediterranean style house. You interested? It's $1.2 million. Right. That has no relevancy to you. So it's much more beneficial, like you said, to try and, like, make a better match and just have that better relationship.
Are most jobs now, and we'll say on the professional jobs, not the to walk into stores and fill out applications anymore?
That's a great question. I don't think so. Even we see with like, retail jobs and stuff like that, a lot of times
Go online.
Yeah, they have online job hiring fairs where you can go, like, this is not an ad for Indeed because I pay them way too much money, but you could literally go on Indeed for retail and they'll have a block of time where you can just show up and wait for a spot and do an online interview on Zoom or whatever, and then you get a job offer. But for more professional skill sets, like, I would say there are some people, I have clients that tell me people go and drop off a resume, but for the most part, it's about trying to reach out to an HR manager or applying directly, of course, to a job. So
right.
Yeah.
And of course, getting back into what you were talking about is about relationships, stuff like that. I mean, if you have a relationship with the company or somebody that works for the company, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, one of the top complaints I get from job seekers is I applied to 100 positions and I never heard anything back, or I got a rejection letter. Like, what's going on? I thought I was a perfect fit for this role. And I think that I go back to the relationship piece. And again, it's your network too. It's not just recruiters. Recruiters are great to have, but you should leverage your network, because a lot of times when you see a job posting go up, it could be they already have the person identified and they have to kind of do those things.
We got to check a box.
Yeah, unfortunately. But then there's also times too where, like, it could be the hiring manager has if it's an accounting position, it could be somebody in another department that has a neighbor who's looking for a job who's not out there, whatever. And like, people are connecting people behind the scenes.
Well, there's also the personality thing in relationships. I mean, any company you turn around, I mean, if you've got a department that's, running on all cylinders and you use a new team member and they're very lighthearted, maybe they're slightly politically incorrect or whatever.
Right,
they've got that kind of aura about them. Just send a buttoned up guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a John Wojcik who lives in town. He wrote a book. He retired from the military and he said it was horrible. He just sort of cast you off and said, have a good time. He says, but when someone tells me we have a meeting at 3, I'm like, why are we getting up in the middle of the night? It's like, no, it's 1500. I mean, if you get those two types of personalities, you've got to figure out how to make it work. And that's an awful lot of thing too, because I mean, you look at company cultures today. I mean, companies spend a lot of time and effort to develop their own types of culture, and good, bad, and different. They have all sorts of different styles, but you've got to fit into that. And you may check the boxes. But, you just may not have jived with the interviewer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that soft skills are really important too. And everybody's got different personalities, and that, having different personalities, if you ever do like disc profiles or things like that, that's good for a culture, but you do need people that align with like your values and what like, as you said, have worked so hard to build. So we do vet that as well. Like, we, as a company, and I think other recruiters probably do that too, is like, you vet them for skill, but you also have to vet for the culture of the company.
Sure.
For sure.
And that's a perfect example of why you need to be here. Because I mean, you're able to judge that and take temperature and move there.
Yeah.
How did you get into this? I mean, have you been in recruiting for all your career?
I have. And I think any recruiter would tell you it was an accident. I went to Rutgers in New Jersey, and I did my undergrad in American history. And that was my passion. I wanted to teach at the PhD level. I wanted to go all the way through. That was my plan. And when I graduated in 2009 during the height of the economic recession, I realized that wasn't going to be a possibility. It was too expensive. I couldn't, I had to get a job.
No, nobody's plans it.
No.
At 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Ever, I mean, there's no straight line that takes you.
Never. It's never A to Z. I will tell you that. I ended up in college. I had to work through college. I bartended, and I got a job at an office job in a recruiting firm. And that was where it all started. I actually recruited in insurance under my boss there. He still recruits to this day. And he was very gracious to let us try a lot of things. And I was a 21-year-old idiot, just figuring it out. And now I just stayed with it. And I just kept finding myself in these recruiting jobs. And I felt like I love connecting with people. Like at the heart of what I do, that is my favorite thing. I just love helping people. And I think that any good recruiter probably feels the same way. And so I just fell into it, and now here I am. I'm 18 years of recruiting, doing it for other people, and then in 2016 was when I actually launched my own thing. I finally felt like I was at a point where I had been doing it for other people for so long, and I felt like I really knew what I was doing. I could build my own client base, and I launched, and I just fumbled and figured it out as a business owner for the first few years. And now here we are coming into our 10th year in April.
Congratulations.
Thank you. 10 years.
Very few make it past 5.
Thank you very much. And it's a big milestone. And I have a team of 7 and we're all virtual and we make it work. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did it scare the hell out of you when you made that jump?
Terrifying. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. I was very lucky to have, my husband, he was our safety net at the time, but there's just so much you have to figure out as a business owner. I mean, you know that, like contracts, negotiations. I had a client who didn't pay me one time. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to get paid? You just figure out those things all along the way. So
funny thing, totally off topic. Funny story. Back when I did construction management, we had a general contractor that didn't pay.
Oh God.
And it went on. So, and these are back, I'll date myself. It's the days of fax machines.
Yeah.
And they were just jerking me around. So what I did is I took a paper and I printed it out. I said, pay your bill, you owe this much dollars or whatever it was. And I did like 3 copies of that. And I fed it into the fax machine and I taped them together. So as the bottom was coming out of the fax machine, I wrapped it around and taped it to the one that was coming in. So it was a circle. And I pushed send on a Friday night at 5 o'clock.
Oh my God.
And so when they walked in on Monday morning, depending on whether they had an individual fax machine or a sheet cutter, they had, probably 300 feet of the same message on there. And we got paid.
That is the best possible result.
We got paid.
That's fantastic.
I enjoy connecting people too.
Yeah.
When you're able to sit there and say, hey, and I've connected more people and said, I don't know where this connection is going to go.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know whether it's going to be a job or not, but something tells me it needs to meet.
Yeah.
And maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years. I never know. What are the hot jobs that we're looking at now?
Yeah. I would say, I wish I had a crystal ball on the market to see what's happening right now. I would say like some, because we do a lot in manufacturing, some areas of manufacturing are thriving. Of course, tariffs are impacting some industries depending on where they're getting their, sourcing things from. But I would say a lot of manufacturing is good. I think like anything that's maybe not disrupted by AI, like some of the boring businesses are pretty hot. HVAC, construction continues to be pretty busy from what I can see.
Yeah.
I think that tech in certain areas is thriving. There's a lot. I have another client that's out that does like material handling. They sell warehouse equipment. Like those are all things that I think are still really busy and they may not be the sexiest businesses out there, but they're thriving and they're stable. And I think that a lot of people, whenever I talk to them in the market right now, the things that they're looking for, opportunity, good management, and stability, even more than money. So
yeah. And I mean, money is fun. It's a funny thing because I know so many people that have been rejected for jobs because they think they're overqualified. We're not going to be able to afford you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough conundrum.
It is.
When you do it.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that worked for, and what was the competitor Groupon that was based in DC? I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like,
yes, I'm not remembering.
But it was, they were down in deep PG County is when they were headquartered, I think. And they were looking for an ungodly commute that they hated to do.
Yeah.
And they wanted a job locally in Annapolis and it was paying, we'll say $20,000 a year less.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were turned down because they felt they couldn't afford them and stuff. The company felt they couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
And they were like, I can ride my bike to work.
Oh, yeah.
And I can be in work and out and home. And it's my whole lifestyle changes as opposed to doing that whole beltway drag. And people have different, ideas of what they want.
Yeah.
In a thing. I know my kid turned around and negotiated as opposed to a raise. She negotiated more time off.
I love that. I think I am all about finding the motivators of what a candidate needs, what a job seeker really wants, and trying to, at the risk of overusing this word, being a storyteller of
bring it on
of what that candidate brings to the table and why they could be a match. That is huge for us in when we are presenting candidates to clients to say, hey, look, I know this person, using your friend as an example, I know this person looks overqualified on paper, but I just want you to know that their main motivators here are going to be their commute. They could ride their bike to work. They're okay with a $20,000 decrease in salary because they're saving that in time and gas and, wear and tear on their car. And they're going to be so happy to show up every day and be, a stone's throw. So this is a great person for that reason. And you're going to be able to retain them because of that.
Yeah. Don't feel like you're going to insult them if you
right.
offer that.
Totally. And I think that a lot of people miss those marks sometimes when they're recruiting. Again, we want to find the right match on paper, but sometimes I will reach out to somebody that looks a little overqualified, and I might hedge my message with that and even say, hey, look, I know you're at a VP level right now. I've got this director role, but it's close in comp and it's 5 minutes from your house. And most of the time I'll be able to talk with them, because I'm touching on something that I'm anticipating might be
then you get back into the opportunity that, okay, yes, you may jump down, quote unquote,
right.
into a director role, but you may have the opportunity to be VP in,
absolutely,
6 months, a year, or whatever.
Totally.
It may be.
Yeah, totally. I mean, everybody's motivators are different.
Yeah.
So.
When you talked about manufacturing, and just, I just sort of wanted to define that is Under Armour. Considered a manufacturer.
Yeah, I would put them in the category.
Okay.
I mean, they're making their stuff. I don't actually know where they produce most of their.
I think a lot of it's in Vietnam, but it's,
okay, yeah.
But again, I was just getting at that. I mean, when you say manufacturing, I think big metal things making lots of noise.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, we define manufacturing to be like anybody who's, a brand is a great example of that. They can manufacture all over the world. Our clients, a lot of our manufacturing customers, they have facilities where maybe they're distributing here in the United States, and then they have manufacturing facilities all over the world. I mean, that's pretty typical for our clients. Yeah.
Fantastic. Is AI the big disruptor that it is purported to be?
Yeah. I know it's disrupting a lot of businesses. I would say that because so for example, there is currently a shortage of 2 million accountants in the United States based on the jobs that are available right now. I don't have all the data on this, so there's probably people smarter than me that have this, but I would assume that accounting may be one of those things, low-level accounting, that could be impacted by that, right? You don't necessarily need somebody double-checking numbers. You can probably have AI do that. And I think a lot of young people aren't going into that field because it's an AI-threatened field. Now, we definitely still need CPAs. We need people that are strategic thinkers, and I think that's my assessment of where AI is. It's a tool and it can do a lot of low-level stuff for us, but we are going to need thinkers that are, strategically looking at information and in a thoughtful human way. But just as much as there's disruption, I mean, there's also opportunity that it's pretty interesting.
There really is. I mean, at some point people say, oh my gosh, AI is going to, take over the jobs and everything else. But, we're going to need people to operate AI, if you will.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, yes, machines. I mean, blacksmiths, okay? We used to.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we don't have very few of them, but now we've got these machines that do it, but we do have to have machine operators.
Yes, absolutely.
You look at vehicles and the whole EV movement. Where you've got the mechanics with the greasy fingernails and everything else that they can evolve and they turn more into techs as opposed to a mechanic.
Yes, 100%. It can elevate. It can really elevate people's roles, and I think that that's going to be the next step. When I think about my children, and they're young and they're going to be coming up and deciding what they want to do with their careers. It's almost like the artisan roles out there are going to be the positions I think that will remain. Anything that has a craft or a strategic or an art aspect to it, I don't know. That's just my thought. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think AI is, it's a great tool you mentioned, and I think it can be used for bad.
No, yeah.
And it certainly can be used. There's a lot of things. I mean, the one thing that really terrifies me about AI is just that it simplifies a lot of tasks.
Yes.
And just in the way the workforce is right now today, you need to do more with less. Yeah. And you need to do it faster, better, bigger, better, stronger, faster, and everything else. And with AI to be able to turn around. I mean, if I'm producing 1,150 widgets on the assembly line myself a day. Yeah. And somehow AI comes in and says, okay, well, we've got this makes us to be 1,000 now. Right. And what's that going to do for the the work-life balance and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, I think that the whole world is evolved, even with, Microsoft Excel and all of the changes that have happened over the last 30, or not 30 years. I always think 30 years ago was 1970, but,
It's a depressing thought.
yeah, the last 80 years, I don't know, of how people have advanced. I think that's a good point, that we're always expected to do more in less time and always be more efficient. And, but yeah, I don't know. AI scares me a lot too, in a lot of ways, but I think that there's opportunity to harness that and again, to like focus on where can it help us. I also think that, I'm in an executive roundtable group and we had somebody come and speak to us about AI, and like, if there's a comforting thought out there, I don't know that anybody really knows exactly how they're using it in their business. And even if they have something that they're using it for, that's constantly changing too. So I don't know. I guess maybe 6 months ago, I thought it was going to take over all of our jobs. And now I think that it's
right. Well, I mean, I would say, the college graduates that are getting out there now, just be mindful of what,
oh, yeah,
of what it is. And I know we've heard for years and years that we're graduating, high school, got kids out of high school and out of college we're preparing them for jobs that don't exist.
Yeah.
Or we're trying to prepare them for jobs that don't exist.
I think that something interesting that's happening, just kind of taking a hard pivot on this. One thing that I'm involved with one of my great clients is an apprenticeship program. So going back to some of like the more hands-on jobs like plumbing and HVAC and technicians that you're talking about, like training young people for a more of like a quote unquote like trade job of some sort is actually becoming like way more popular. I mean, I worked with a mechanical contractor that did commercial HVAC back through COVID. And because everybody was home, everybody was doing home improvement and business, I don't know, whatever. It was like they did residential and commercial, I guess. And we could not find enough HVAC technicians, plumbers to fill those jobs. And now I think the tides have totally turned where like people aren't going to college quite at the same rate as it was when I was young, because people are recognizing that there's actually a lot of opportunity in trades.
There really is. And I mean, you couple that with the cost of colleges you hear these stories about, yes, I'm 75 and I just paid off that school loan.
I know.
And, you hear all of that. Yeah. And then you look, maybe I'm going into a career that may be impacted by AI, that may not be here in the future. So, I mean, I get that. I've got a good friend of mine that started out as a tin knocker doing HVAC. And made the jump, went out on his own, just started residential. And now he's renting helicopters to put stuff on buildings in DC. And he's doing really well. Just to be able to see how things move on from there. I'm of one generation, you're of another generation, and you're working with a third generation right now that's looking for jobs, I would imagine. Is it challenging working with the youngins today?
Yeah, this is, I love this topic. So I think that there are, three main generations in the workplace right now. There's four. And people ask me that a lot. And I think my main takeaway of working with like sort of the younger generation, and people want to say, oh, they don't work as hard, or, they're more concerned about their outside life than their, loyalty to their job. I sort of reject that a little bit, because I think that it's our responsibility to teach the younger generation about like how to work, how to be, but they also have different motivators. They've witnessed a lot of changes in the market and a lot of disruption with AI and things like that. And they've lived through, or they're graduating through COVID and things like that. And they're just not going to be the generation that spends 25 years at an employer. Like those days are gone. Like people are moving employers. The average, I think right now in the US, and somebody might correct me on this, is 2.2 years at an employer. Doesn't matter what generation you are. And that's because employers have not necessarily been quite as loyal to their people. There's been layoffs. There's been, people didn't necessarily get raises through COVID. So I think the younger generation just maybe they've got it right and we've got it wrong, where they have like just more of an emphasis on their well-being, their work-life balance, their mental health, and prioritizing those things, where I think like, maybe millennial and older, we've always been taught that we just have to, rise and grind.
We're getting that gold line.
Yeah, right, exactly, and work to the pension. But
what's that word? I'm not familiar with that word. What was that word you said? Pension?
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. If anybody's got a pension out there, let me know. But I think that there's so many differences culturally, of course, with like Gen Z. And I think, but that's probably the biggest one, is is just they've got a different outlook on life. And there's gig culture, like that's really big, is like, you know, I think we've been telling young people for the last 10 years that you've got to drive Uber and you've got to, you know, do DoorDash and you've got to have a side hustle. And that's just, you know, it just makes for a different work style, I think. So I don't know. It's tough. It's
I'm
tough
blaming
out there.
Zuckerberg on that. He started that little side hustle.
Yeah,
in
right.
college,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
his fault.
exactly. Yeah, I blame him.
But, you know, I talked to a guy that was with a company that was ultimately bought, sold, and rebought by Apple out on the West Coast called
Oh, wow.
General Magic. And they were actually the precursors to the iPhone. They had
cool.
sort of developed, but he was working for a tech company in Northern Virginia, and they had interviewed somebody from one of the high tech companies out west, whether it was Google or Amazon or, you know, Microsoft. I don't know what it was, but he said, looking at the younger people coming in, they came in, we had a great interview. I mean, the guy is super, super talented. We're doing like really cool stuff. He was into what we're doing.
Yeah.
It was going really great.
Right.
He said, do you know what killed the deal?
Our
cappuccino machine.
Oh, no.
He said, he says, this candidate, this young candidate, says, this is, and turned them down. I mean, you know, this is a guy probably coming from somebody that has napping pods in the office and everything else.
Yeah.
But he said that was just such a deal. And he said when he was in General Magic working, I mean, it was 27, 28 hours a day, you know, type of the thing. He said they had rabbits running around the office, free range. And,
oh my God.
Their lead engineer disappeared for 4 days, and finally they broke into his office and they realized that he had cut a hole in the roof because he wanted the sunlight. I mean, just very weird type of a dynamic.
That's wild. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the difference of the different generations that are going on. And I guess a challenge in the workforce today is, as you said, we've got so many different generations working together.
Yeah. It's
getting
tough.
along.
Yeah. It's tough. I like to be the eternal optimist, and I like to think that every generation can learn something from another. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for somebody, you know, my first boss who taught me recruiting, he was really old school. He was a Marine. He was tough as nails, and he taught me so much. And he was just so by the book. I mean, he analyzed every email that we wrote. I mean, he really helped shape my communication, like my written communication as a professional in the workplace. And I feel like that's something that people should take the opportunity to say, how can I help this younger generation? You know, I think that every young generation coming in has to learn how to work first. Like, that's the other thing too, is I didn't necessarily know how to show up on time every single day when I was, you know, 24 or whatever in my first couple of jobs. I mean, I needed to be conditioned in the workplace and know how to send an email and know how to properly address somebody and when to be concise and when to
use an emoji, when not.
Right. Yeah. Don't put all the smiley faces in the email. Okay. So, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for people to learn across those generations. I just was at like a women in business, and they were talking a lot about that. Like, let's take the opportunity to put the younger generation under our wing and help them learn business acumen. You know, that's so important. But they're going to do it their way anyway.
What kind of advice do you have for job seekers today?
Yeah, I have a lot of advice. I think.
How much time we got?
Yeah, right. I would say like general advice would be to my two top pieces of advice are, if you're not working your network or staying in touch with your network, you should. You need to be talking to your friends that are in business. You need to be talking to other people that you worked at other companies with. Just keep in touch with people, because if you find yourself out of a job, they're going to be your network that says, hey, my company's hiring. Hey, I know about this. And they're going to help you get your foot in the door. They can make a referral, and companies love referrals. End of story.
Gone are the days, I guess. I mean, I remember not too distant feet past. You get laid off, it's like, oh, geez, you know, and you just, you know, hit the Juanas and you hit the whatever, but you don't talk about that. Yeah. At the cocktail parties and stuff like that. And now anymore, it's like, no, you know, hey, I got laid off. If anybody is looking, I mean, I see that all the time on LinkedIn.
Oh, that's a great point. LinkedIn is a great place to put like, if you've been laid off, you know, put something out there. Put a post out there that says, here's what I'm looking for. Here are the job titles. Here are the industries. If you know somebody or your company is hiring, and the more eyes you can get on yourself, I think the better. But I also think as a job seeker, you need to be like, if you can hook up with a recruiter, getting in databases is the best way to go. Again, eyes on your resume. I think the other piece is like, you can't do this for every job that you apply to. But I think that it's important to follow up on jobs. Like if you see something and you're super excited about it, try and find the HR manager on LinkedIn, shoot them a message, go the extra mile to try and set yourself apart, because in a world where a job is posted and it gets 150 candidates to the job, that hiring manager, like it or not, they might only look at the first 20, find 5 great candidates.
I was going to say they're probably all machine read, and certain ones that don't check the boxes are probably discarded.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of AI, people ask me if AI is used in hiring. I don't, probably for the bigger companies. I don't know that it's quite so much at the lower level, but there's definitely keyword searches and filters that go into that. And so if you don't have the right language on your resume, you might get passed over. So if you're really excited about a job, maybe find that person, send them a message, let them know that you're super interested. I think that goes the extra mile.
Do thank you notes still make a difference?
Oh yeah, send a thank you note. I just had this conversation yesterday. We're hiring for a VP of automotive services, and it's a really cool job. And there is like a candidate that is standing out or whatever, and he sent a thank you, and I thought, even at a high level, sometimes people forget to send thank you notes, but it goes all the way. Like that is so important to companies still.
Is a thank you note the same as a thank you email?
Yes, I would. Actually, yes, I would put that in the same bucket. An email's fine. You don't have to.
Okay.
And 2 lines. Thank you so much for your time. It was so great to meet with you. I'm super excited about the opportunity. That's all it needs to be. Yeah.
Just one more thing to make you stand out.
Yeah.
I know one time I got a call from my son. Now, mind you, the guy's 33.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's lived in this rent. It's like, the stamp, upper right corner of the envelope, right?
Oh, that's so great.
And I'm like, oh, yes.
Yes.
We'll call it a dad win.
How much does a stamp cost these days? Yeah.
They're called forever stamps.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Don't cost anything.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. Well, I'd say if anybody is looking for any type of a job, or actually, probably get in touch with Beth. It's Halsen, Halsen Solutions with an S on the end of it, .com.
You got it.
Based right here in Annapolis.
Yep.
And, a wealth of information, whether it be in, manufacturing or not.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a job, if you're a company that is looking to hire in that realm, definitely check it out. Again, halsensolutions.com, Halsen Solutions.
Yeah.
And I'm presuming that's a Swedish kind of a Scandinavian background with the E on it?
Yeah. Halsen, I named Halsen Solutions because it's an old Gaelic word that means to match or to find. And
I was going to go with like maiden name.
Yeah, well, it's similar to my maiden name. My maiden name is Hallgash, but nobody ever got that right. I would get Haglash or whatever. Like it was nobody ever got it right. And so I just simplified it a little bit. So yeah.
Fantastic. HalsenSolutions.com.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Beth.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.